will begin by introducing myself. I'm Bill Galston, a senior fellow in governance studies here at the Brookings Institution. And I would like to welcome you all to the latest in a long-running hit series that we call Governing Ideas. And the basic idea of governing ideas can be stated pretty simply. This is a town that is awash in politics, political punditry, political analysis. And it is also filled with think tanks that devote themselves, at least if you read their annual reports, to policy analysis of one sort or another. And we in governance studies have nothing against politics or policy analysis. We've been known to commit it ourselves, but it's our thesis that there is a broader context within which the questions of public life ought to be considered. That context is in part cultural and intellectual, even religious, especially in the United States, but it is also in part institutional. And it is institutions, the condition of our institutions and ways in which we might improve them that brings us together today. And let me just say a word about the importance of institutions. They are, quite simply, the way we arrange and organize ourselves for collective action. It's easy to believe that good people plus sound policies equal effective governance. Well, our founders were under no such illusion. They believed, and I think rightly believed, that well-conceived institutions matter as much as good people and sound policies. Indeed, and this is one of the great themes of the book that we're gathered to celebrate, discuss, and perhaps even critique this afternoon, bad institutions can frustrate the best intentions of good people and can thwart the implementation of sound policy. Now, because this is the Brookings Institution, every introduction must have at least one high-toned quote. Well, here's mine, and it's from Alexander Hamilton, Federalist number 68, and I'm sure everybody on the panel knows what I'm about to say. And Hamilton stated, after dissing Alexander Pope, he went on to say, and I quote, "The true test of a good government is its aptitude and tendency to produce a good administration." And indeed, modern political science tells us that good administration is not only the key to effective implementation of public policy, it is also the basis of public trust and confidence in government. And I don't need to remind you that that public trust and confidence is almost entirely absent today. The American people, sadly, have rendered a negative verdict on our government, or at least our government as we now know it. Well, what is to be done? That's the question we're gathered today to ponder, focusing on an important new book, The Next Government of the United States, Why Our Institutions Fail Us, and How to Fix them. I can't imagine a better panel to instruct us on this question, starting with the book's author. To my immediate left, Don Kettl, who's a non-resident senior fellow here at Brookings, and he's also, and perhaps more importantly, the Robert A. Fox Leadership Professor at the University of Pennsylvania, where he's professor of political science. He's the author or editor of a dozen books and monographs, of which The Next Government of the United States is the latest. 2 of his books have been co-winners of the Louis Brownlow Book Award of the National Academy of Public Administration for the best book published in public administration. He's consulted for a broad array of public organizations. He is a fellow of the National Academy of Public Administration, and I'm informed a proud shareholder in the Green Bay Packers. Congratulations. To my right is an old friend and frequent co-author, Elaine C. Kmark, who's a lecturer in public policy, who came to the Kennedy School in 1997 after a career in politics and government, a career too long to recount. Suffice it to say that she served in the White House from 1993 to 1997, where she created and managed the Clinton administration's National Performance Review, also known as Reinventing Government. At the Kennedy School, she has served as Director of Visions of Governance for the 21st Century and as a faculty advisor to the Innovations in American Government Award Program. She is the author of another important book on the subject of the condition of our institutions, The End of Government as We Know It, Policy Implementation in the 21st Century, and also of the forthcoming Primary Politics, How Presidential Candidates Have Shaped the Modern Nominating System, which Brookings will be proud to publish early next year. And finally, someone who might well be regarded as the eminence grise of everything that we're doing this afternoon, Jonathan Brule, who's the executive director of the IBM Center for the Business of Government and a partner in IBM Global Business Services. The IBM Center is a fascinating place. It helps public sector executives improve the effectiveness of government with practical ideas and original thinking. Jonathan Brule was formerly senior advisor to the deputy director for management in the Office of Management and Budget in the Executive Office of the President. He served as OMB's senior career executive with primary responsibility for government-wide general management services. He served for 8 years as the U.S. delegate and elected vice chair of the Paris-based Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development Public Management Committee. And he is an elected fellow and member of the Board of Trustees of the National Academy of Public Administration. A last word before the main event as to format. The author, Don Kettl, will present his book, taking about 20 minutes. Each of the commentators will then speak for about 10 minutes each. There'll be a little bit of crosstalk on the panel, if I can think of a question worthy of receiving a response from the panel, after which we'll devote roughly the final half hour to questions and comments from the floor and responses from the panelists. And with that, Don, the floor is yours.
Yep. Thanks so much, and thanks to all of you for coming here today. I want to begin by climbing inside a time capsule and going back to a Tuesday night in September when the Federal Reserve, in the middle of the financial meltdown, decided to buy American International Group. The United States of America found itself on a Tuesday evening owner of an insurance company. Star Trek always used to begin with the dictum to boldly go where no man has gone before. Well, we are there. We are now in uncharted territory. We are where no man has gone before, and the question is where it is that we are and what it is we're going to do with what it is that we've got. The basic argument that I have in the book is that the government that we have and that we've created and have spent the last 230 years trying to construct is not a very good fit for the problems we're trying to solve. And unless we find a way to update our institutions and make them a lot smarter and a lot more nimble in a very big hurry, we're likely to have very big problems, not only for the performance of government, but also, perhaps just as importantly, for the performance of American democracy. The financial meltdown that we're now talking about is really part of a much broader string of very complex problems that we've been trying to struggle with, whether it's the post-9/11 world of homeland security or the debate over nationalizing the auto industry. But what I want to suggest is that if you stop and set back a little bit, you can see AIG, the financial meltdown, homeland security, the auto industry is part of a much broader array of problems that we've been struggling to try to have to deal with. And let me tell you two stories that I used to begin the book with.